cybersecurity attacks are obviously going way up, and we want to make sure that you have the information so you can be prepared for that. So today, we're going to go over our agenda, introduction, current cybersecurity landscape, maybe something specifically about what's happening in cybersecurity that you need to know about. And then we'll go over recent cyber attacks and breaches, some coverages on a few of those items, cybersecurity best practices, anything in regard to the FTC safeguards, compliance changes, and how that may affect you, and then closing statements. So thank you for being here today. It says a lot about you, whether you're a company owner, middle management, or you just say, I'm here, I work here. Maybe we all have a stake in cybersecurity and protecting the business, whether that be the data, the people, and the technology. So glad you're here. If at any point you have any questions, we are here to educate, and I'll talk about that next on the next slide, but you can email us at hello@rethinksecure.com with any of your questions. This briefing, as you know, since many of you are returning, is 15 to 20 minutes to get you the information you need and to get you back to work. So who am I? I'm Garrett. I'm the CEO here at Vandernet. We started Vandernet in 2010. COVID happened, everything changed from COVID. So we shifted, and now we focus on cybersecurity and how to protect the business, the people, the data, and the technology, and help organizations align the technology to the organizational objectives so they can be successful. We say we enable businesses to grow securely, reclaim your time, and outsmart your competition. Our goal is to help you be successful. So, current cybersecurity landscape, the latest trends, threats, developments in cybersecurity with a focus on how they impact you as a business. So, today specifically, we're going to talk about critical 1Password security flaw could let hackers steal your unlock key. So they were 1Password specifically comments in the article that they were thankful that the security researcher group that found the vulnerability did reach out to them, which is best practice in the industry. When good guys find holes, they're supposed to notify the institution of the holes and work with them to get those fixed before they release it to public. Or by public, we mean available to hackers to exploit. And so 1Password is a password manager, just like many other password managers. LastPass, which we know have had security incidents in the past, and hopefully you are not using LastPass. But 1Password is also another password manager. And one thing that we find specifically in this article that they talk about is that 1Password was thankful that the group found the vulnerability for them to fix. But then 1Password makes an interesting statement in the article. And they talk about how if somebody gets root access to your computer, that there's not much at that point, in fact, that they can do to help mitigate your passwords from being stolen. And why this is important is cybersecurity is not just a product like CrowdStrike. You know, that there's a lot of IT departments or industries or like IT companies that say that they do cybersecurity. They'll deploy a single piece of application. Maybe it's SentinelOne, maybe it's CrowdStrike, in addition to the antivirus inside your business. But it's important to point out and to note that it's not solved by a single product or solution. It's solved by a defense in depth approach, which we simply mean there's multiple layers to securing the data, the people, and the technology that you have in your organization. So that being said, they're correct. They're thankful that there was a vulnerability that they were made aware of and they got it patched. But on the flip side of that, they're also true. If hackers have the ability to get on your computer, they have the ability to do a variety of things to then further compromise not only your passwords, because we said months ago that any application on your computer can do whatever you have the ability to do. So if you have access to log into 1Password, you do log into 1Password, they inherently have access to all your passwords. So that's why it's important that you're thinking holistically. How do we do cybersecurity on a layered approach instead of, oh yeah, we're going to check this box and install this piece of software. So be thinking about that. If hackers do get a hold of your computer or a computer, maybe not your computer, in your entity, what are the ramifications of that? And are you truly executing a least privileged model, which means unless there's a specific valid reason that that individual can do X, Y, and Z, they shouldn't have access to it. So recent cyber attacks and breaches. We're going to analyze notable cyber attacks, data breaches, highlighting key takeaways and lessons learned. So recently, a city experienced a hack. And the city is a very known city in Columbus, Ohio. And they recently had hackers come into their systems and exfiltrate data. Well, in the article we found released, hackers release reams of stolen Columbus data on the dark web. And in this article, I'll pull it up for us. One second. And in this article, we read, foreign attackers, a group called, I can't even say that name, have begun releasing data stolen from the city of Columbus's servers on the dark web. It says that, remains mums of like how it may affect city workers, members of the public, and information. So CMIT, a franchise IT company, said I can confirm that some of that data has been released. What they're seeing is lots of users' profiles, backups from their computers, and a bunch of database backup files that were probably taken from the servers have been released on the dark web. They're showing about 3.1 terabytes of data is released. That's 270 files, which is 45% of the stolen data. And which is interesting here, because if we look at this article, what it means is they think that the other 55% was actually sold. Like data that's just generally released on the dark web isn't really of value to sell. So that means that the other potential 55% of the data that was stolen out of the city of Columbus, Ohio, was stolen or was sold to other hackers. And what we find is then that is further than used to exploit probably members of the city or the city itself to create further issues. So this is a big deal, folks. Big deal. That's why it's important that you don't just deploy a single piece of software. Maybe they didn't even have a single piece of software in place, but that it is a holistic view. That's why we have a 5-stage journey, a 5-step that we take customers through to better secure their organization and implement over 150 individualized controls inside a network and the technology, because it's not a product that solves the problem. And a lot of people think it's a product, but it really is a comprehensive plan. If this happens, how do you respond? If this happens, how do you respond? So going next to the next article, Fortune 50 pays a breaking 75 million ransom demand. A Fortune 50 company paid $75 million. And you're like, don't worry about it. It's like some massive company somewhere else, right? Like New York, right? Or maybe like California. Well, let's check it out. Let's get to the details of the situation. The runaway success of an upstart ransom outfit called Dark Angels may well influence cyber attack landscape for years to come. Newsflash, if you pay cyber attackers a ransom, you pay hackers a ransom, guess what? They're going to keep hacking. It's like positive reinforcement. Oh, you do something bad? Here you go. You can get some money for it. This is a big deal. So a Fortune 50 company paid $75 million to its cyber attackers earlier this year, greatly exceeding any of the other confirmed ransom payment in history. The beneficiary of the payout is outfitted as Dark Angels. Dark Angels isn't just effective. In some ways, the gang turns so much of what we thought we knew about ransomware on its head. Sure, there have been some big announcements forked over in the past. In 2021, an Illinois-based company, CNA, was reported to have paid an unprecedented $40 million. Guess what? This surpasses that amount. And Caesar's Palace paid nearly $15 million in ransom. But the problem is, in this particular case, it turned out to be $75 million. And the key is, like, I jokingly told the team this morning that I was going to talk about this particular incident. And I was going to have everybody pre-decide, put your hand out and slap your hand and say, no, we're not going to pay the ransom. We're going to predetermine. We're going to have a plan in place. We're going to know exactly how to respond to this specific situation. So going back to our thing here, the last thing I'm going to conclude today is Las Vegas police issue a cyber advisory with cybersecurity hacker conventions in town. Black Hat. I don't know if you're familiar with Black Hat. Black Hat is a conference. It's annual, and it's where hackers get together, like supposedly good guys, maybe partially bad guys. Who knows? Like, they get together in Vegas annually every year, and they show how they hack things, how they release vulnerabilities that they found throughout the year. Tesla is notorious for taking their Teslas there and then paying hackers to try to hack the Tesla, and then once they do, then they can get the Tesla for free. So it's insightful and eye-opening to companies that really do need to be tested for vulnerabilities. I would say that any financial institution, whether it be accounting, like Thomson Reuters software, wealth management software, or even banking. Like, I think banking providers should also, software providers should be going there and looking for ways that their software could be exploited. So that way they can be better prepared in the industry. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Las Vegas police issue a police warning over a cyber advisory with cyber criminals with hacker convention. Guess what? Newsflash. Invite hackers to town. Expect that hacking is going to happen. So they had to release it, Fox in Las Vegas. So today we're going to go over cybersecurity best practices. And today's big idea is, here's the deal. There are two types of plans you should have in your business. There should be one that has been industry focused in IT for years and years and years. And that industry focus has been on a business continuity plan. It means, hey, if our email servers go down, how are we going to continue to do business? It's always been contingent upon, if a technology fails, how do we continue to do business? That's business continuity. The second has been, within the last 5-6 years, has been a really big deal. It's called an incident response plan. And that's specifically around, if a cybersecurity event were to happen, how would we respond to that? If we have a business email compromise, somebody in our organization's email were to get compromised, how are we going to respond to that? And how do we isolate that? How do we detect that it happened? How do we isolate and contain it? And then how do we treat it? How do we know that the hackers are out of our system? That's an incident response plan. But one of the things that's been eye-opening out of this whole CrowdStrike thing is, what if the tools that you're implementing to keep the bad guys out are in fact the tools that end up taking down your systems? Shocker. Shocking. And as we're learning from the fallout from the CrowdStrike situation, 8.5 million Windows devices affected from the CrowdStrike incident. Companies losing, like Delta is claiming over $500 million in losses. They're estimating it over $5 billion loss because of this situation. It was all because a tool that was manufactured to keep the bad guys out ended up becoming the problem itself, rendering systems completely useless for a period of time. So now we need to go back to our incident response plans. Now we need to be reevaluating. And hopefully you have a strategic partner that you're already partnering with outside your local IT resources, whether that be like if you have internal IT, hopefully there's an outside partner that's bringing strategy and talking to you about cybersecurity inside your entity. Or maybe you have an outside resource or partner because you don't have an internal IT department. And my question to you would be is to seek additional outside resources if that outside IT company does not have a cybersecurity competence, and ask hard questions in regard to what if their tools fail? What if they fall victim to a bad update like CrowdStrike? How are they going to respond to that? So we have to go back to our incident response plans and we have to ask these hard questions. What if it is our tools that we have installed on our computers, our business line applications that create from a bad update a system down situation? How are we going to respond to that? Is that a continuity thing or is that an incident response thing? I would argue that it's an incident, not a business continuity issue. It's really an incident. And the reason why it's an incident is you don't know if that situation was happened for good or it was a malicious actor in that particular case, because it is the security software that's responding. So you need to rewrite your incident response plans to focus on what would happen if your cybersecurity business line application, one of those tools, you should not just have one, you should have many tools at play inside your organization to protect it. But if one of those tools went crazy, what would you do about it? Think about that. Think about that. And go back to your plans and reassess that. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your attendance. It's weekly, 1:30 Central Standard Time. We try to give it 15 to 20 minutes, like I said, to get you the information you need and to get you back to work, because we all have things to do. But we want to help educate you. We want to help make sure that your business is secured from hackers and AI. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to dkane@vandernet.io, or you can email us at hello@rethinksecured.com. Go to the bit.ly Rethink Secured link on your screen or scan the QR code. We'd love to offer you a 15-minute free, no obligation cybersecurity strategy session just to talk about you and your business and cybersecurity. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.